This $90 keyboard might just change the way you type forever. With premium features and a budget-friendly price, the Womier SK65 might just be the perfect addition to your setup. Let me show you why. Before we get into it, I just want to let you know that this video was sponsored by Womier, who provided the SK65 for review. However, rest assured, all opinions you hear today are unbiased and my own. Let's get into it. First, let's walk through the unboxing, an aspect that so often sets the tone for what's to come. Opening up the box, there's a foam layer protecting the package contents. Removing the top layer, you're greeted by the user manual, followed by the keyboard itself wrapped in plastic with a protective dust cover. You also get an accessory box that contains a rubberized USB A to C cable, a dual keycap and switch puller, some spare switches with accent options for macOS, and the 2.4 GHz wireless dongle. Overall, the unboxing experience was satisfactory. I would have appreciated the inclusion of a few spare switches. Okay, I'm going to quickly outline some of the main specs and features of the SK65 before getting into my own thoughts and opinions. The Womier SK65 is priced at $89.99 on WomierKeyboard.com. It's available in anodized silver, anodized black, beige, and the theme I've got, e-coated blue. It's got a compact 65% layout with 66 keys and a knob. It features tri-mode connectivity, which means you can connect via Bluetooth, 2.4 GHz dongle, or wired USB Type-C. The SK65 is equipped with a 3750 mAh battery. Let's kick things off by diving into the design and aesthetics of the SK65. Right off the bat, I'm really loving the style this keyboard has going on. It's got a box-on wedge case design, and it's small, but adds to the overall premium feeling of the board. It's got a compact non-exploded 65% layout, which is as compact as I like to go. Losing the arrow keys on a 60% is usually a deal breaker for me, whilst I can live without the function row. If you've ever used a keyboard with a knob, you'll know how hard it is to go back to using one without it. So I'm glad to see the SK65 features a sleek, small knob with a brushed aluminium look. The light blue theme I've chosen exudes elegance and minimalism. It's hard to put into words, but if you told me this was a $200 keyboard, I wouldn't doubt it for a second. The keycaps perfectly match the colour of the case, and the white accent keycaps and legends complement each other pretty flawlessly. The SK65 is crafted from a machined CNC aluminium, so it's got a nice weight to it, coming in at just over 1.5 kilograms. While the finish might not be the best CNC I've encountered, it certainly doesn't feel unpleasant to the touch. The board features a gasket mount system, and it's one of the most pleasant ones I've experienced. Each keystroke delivers a satisfying bounce, offering a soft, enjoyable typing experience. Using this keyboard for scripting actually gave me a newfound appreciation for the art of writing. In fact, this entire video was scripted using the SK65, and I thoroughly enjoyed the process. Let's flip the board over and take a look at what you get on the underside. One of either the counterweight or symbol probably caught your eye, so let's start there. The SK65 features a large external brass counterweight engraved with the word Lucky, accompanied by a CNC'd 4-leaf clover. An interesting theme. Let me explain. The SK65 is an adaptation of an OEM board, the Sugar 65 V2, that features this design. Another example of this can be found in Velocifyre's Lucky 65. However, their choice of naming makes the thematic connection seem less unexpected. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of this particular theme, but it's not a deal breaker for me since it is situated at the bottom, out of sight. Other than that, there's a small circular rubber pad in each of the four corners for grip on your desk. It's important to mention that there's no height adjustable feet included here, meaning you will be using the default type and angle. Finally, there's 8 screws for this assembly. More on that later in the video. Moving over to the edge, there's a very subtle chamfer to take the edge off the case. Nice design choice in my opinion. That's it for the box portion of the case. Moving down lower, you'll find the USB-C port located on the recessed wedge. I'm particularly fond of this design choice because it maintains a sleek and minimal edge from every angle, cleverly concealing the USB-C port under when it's not in use. I do want to highlight, however, that while this design choice is sleek, it comes with the downside of lacking in-case storage for the 2.4 GHz dongle, making it quite easy to misplace. Returning our focus to the top of the board, you'll notice it's quite minimalistic up here. As mentioned, the knob features a brushed aluminium finish in this champagne colour. Personally, I appreciate this deviation from the blue and white theme. I believe a white knob wouldn't have enhanced the premium feel just as effectively. The primary function of the keyboard is for media control, so volume up, down and mute. If you long press the knob, however, the function changes to control the RGB backlighting, brightness and mode. Another potential downside to the clean edges can be seen by the lack of switches or toggles. Under the tab key, you'll find a small switch for toggling the board into its wireless mode. While the location might not be optimal, it's not a major issue since you can also perform this action using a shortcut detailed in the user manual. Now, let's transition to the keycaps, and I have to say, I just love these things. Once more, the colour combination with the case exudes a sleek professionalism. They're double shot PBT in the cherry profile, so no complaints there. They feel just as nice as they look. On close inspection, they have somewhat of a sandy, chalky finish, yet the legends still appear remarkably crisp. If I were to nitpick, the white legends on light blue keycaps might pose a bit of a contrast issue in low light environments, but as they say, there's no light without dark. Gotta be a pun in there somewhere. It's a trade-off I'm perfectly content with given how visually appealing they are. As far as stock keycaps go, these are some of the best, so I don't see any need to swap them out. The SK65 ships with Womier's very own Mint Blizzard switches. They're a pre-lube linear switch requiring an operating force of about 42 grams, making them quite light. Typists will definitely appreciate these switches. They're made entirely from a POM material and are compatible with any MX style keycaps. Although they're pre-lubed, there is a slight scratchiness to them. Personally, I don't mind it gives them a bit of a chalky feeling. You really need to experience it yourself to understand what I mean. but it's not a bad thing. As a whole, the board has quite a poppy sound signature. As mentioned, the switches are kinda chalky, but they still manage to produce a creamy sound. It's hard to describe the sound profile accurately, but I really like it. I'm happy to report that the stabilizers perform exceptionally well in the SK65. I didn't hear any ticking or rattling, so there's no need to worry about tuning them. It would have been too good to be true if the SK65 was VIA programmable. It does come with its own proprietary software for customizing key mappings, macros and lighting. However, I couldn't get it installed on my system because my antivirus actually blocked the download. So just a word of warning there. There's a bit of a stigma around custom keyboard softwares feeling a bit like malware, so this definitely doesn't help the case. Crucially for gamers, the board does feature N-key rollover, which basically allows the keyboard to register several keystrokes all at once without getting confused. The board comes with a 3750 mAh battery. While around 4000 mAh would be my threshold for considering it a good battery, it's not far off. In its wireless modes, the battery should be sufficient if you want to use the backlighting, as there's no screen or LEDs to share the battery amongst. Speaking of backlighting, the SK65 features full RGB backlighting with several preset modes you can cycle between. It's got south-facing LEDs, so the backlight is nice and bright. Okay, it's time to tear down the SK65 and see what you're getting internally. As previously mentioned, there's 8 screws on the back you'll need to remove. Once done, the top housing should lift off. The SK65 is rocking a polycarbonate flex cut plate with plate mounted stabilizers. Now for the foams and films, you get a layer of pour-on foam, an IXB switch pad and a PET acoustic pad. The FR4 PCB is 5-pin hot swappable with south-facing LEDs, also containing a lot of flex cuts. While there's no support for screw-in stabilizers here, which might disappoint some, I was more than happy with the plate mounted stabs. As mentioned, the SK65 is gasket mounted using these silicone sock gaskets. Moving down to the bottom case, you get a layer of EPDM foam, and finally, the battery compartment. As always, it's time to play the sound test before I leave you with my closing remarks and recommendations. To wrap things up, the Womier SK65 offers an impressive array of features at a budget-friendly price of just $89.99. With its sleek design, tri-mode connectivity, and satisfying typing experience, it sets the bar high for budget capability in 2024. The keyboard's compact 65% layout, coupled with its premium aluminium construction, makes it a standout choice for anyone looking to dive into the custom keyboard world, or upgrade to their first aluminium board. However, it's important to mention that while the SK65 excels in many areas, it might just not be for everyone. For example, the lack of screw-in stabilizers or VIA programmability might disappoint some enthusiasts. Additionally, the software might pose challenges for those whose antivirus software flags it as potentially harmful. As much as I recommend this keyboard, I would feel bad if I didn't point out that you can get this significantly cheaper in the form of the Sugar 65 V2. However, it might be hard to get your hands on that if you're not in the Asian market. On the other hand, the SK65 is in stock with some really nice keycaps and switches. Just something to keep in mind if you're making a buying decision. However, despite these considerations, the SK65 remains a strong contender in its price range, offering exceptional value for its performance and features. So, if you're in the market for a versatile and stylish keyboard that won't break the bank, you might just want to consider the Womier SK65. That concludes this review. I hope you liked it. If you did, consider subscribing and leaving a like. Your support is greatly appreciated.